It wasn't enemy fire I feared that night. It was the thing keeping pace with my wing, silent, glowing, and impossible. Those words were written in a battered leather diary, found decades after the war. The man who wrote them was Captain James Jimmy Calloway, a 24-year-old night fighter pilot from rural Kentucky who flew some of the most dangerous missions of World War II. And what he encountered on a pitch-black night over the Rhine Valley in November 1944 would haunt him for the rest of his life. This is not a story you learned in school. It was buried, hidden, kept out of official reports because the U.S. Army Air Forces didn't want their pilots sounding, well, crazy. But Jimmy Calloway wasn't crazy. He was one of the sharpest, most decorated night fighter pilots in the 422nd Night Fighter Squadron. And what he saw, what he documented, changes everything we think we know about the final months of the war. Stay with me, because this story, straight from his personal diary, is about to shake you to your core. James Earl Calloway was born in 1920 in Harlan County, Kentucky, coal country. Hard land, hard people. His father worked the mines. His mother kept the family together on almost nothing. Jimmy grew up knowing two things: that life was tough, and that the sky was the one place where a man could be truly free. He learned to fly at 19, barnstorming at county fairs for $5 a show. When Pearl Harbor hit in December 1941, Jimmy was one of the first men in Harlan County to enlist. He wasn't chasing glory. He was answering a call. By 1944, he had been assigned to the 422nd Night Fighter Squadron, one of the most elite and least celebrated units in the entire war. These men flew in total darkness. No moonlight, no rangwa lights, just radar, instinct, and raw nerve. Their aircraft, the Northrop P-61 Black Widow, a massive, twin-engine beast painted matte black, designed to hunt German aircraft in the dead of night. Jimmy logged over 200 combat flight hours by autumn 1944. He'd shot down 3 Luftwaffe aircraft. He'd brought his plane home riddled with flak holes. His crew called him Ghost, because somehow impossibly he always came back. But November 27th, 1944 would be different. He wrote in his diary the morning before the mission. Something feels off today. Can't explain it. Like the air itself is holding its breath. The briefing was straightforward, at least on paper. Jimmy and his radar operator, Sergeant Carl Hutchins from Ohio, were tasked with a night interdiction patrol over the Rhine Valley. German supply lines were still moving at night, feeding the Wehrmacht's desperate resistance. The 422nd's job was to hunt those convoys, harass Luftwaffe activity, and maintain air superiority in the dark hours the daylight bombers couldn't cover. They took off at 2,213 hours. The Black Widow climbed into an ink-black sky, stars barely visible through broken cloud cover. Temperature at altitude, minus 30 degrees Fahrenheit. The cockpit groaned with cold. For the first 90 minutes, it was routine. They patrolled their assigned corridor. Hutch monitored the radar. Jimmy kept his eyes sweeping left, right, below, above. Nothing unusual. Then, at approximately 2,349 hours, Hutch's voice crackled through the intercom. "Ghost, you seeing something at 3 o'clock? Because I've got nothing on radar, but there's something there." Jimmy turned, and his blood ran cold. Approximately 300 yards off his right wing, at identical altitude, was a sphere of light. Not a flare, not tracer fire, not another aircraft's exhaust. This was a perfectly round, amber-orange ball of light, roughly the size of a small car, moving in perfect formation with a Black Widow at 280 miles per hour. Jimmy's first instinct was the enemy. He reached for his gun trigger, but there were no wings. No engine, sound cutting through the cockpit noise. No exhaust, No fuselaje. Just this silent, glowing orb, keeping pace with mathematical precision. He wrote, I called out over the radio. No response from base. Static. The light pulsed, once, twice, like it heard me. He banked hard left. The orb mirrored him instantly. He pushed the throttle and climbed 2,000 feet in under a minute. The orb climbed with him effortlessly, maintaining exact distance. Hutch was now near panic in the rear cockpit. Ghost, I'm telling you. Nothing on radar. Nothing. It's like it isn't there. But it was there. Both men saw it. Both men would swear to it for the rest of their lives. For 11 minutes. 11 of the longest minutes James Calloway ever lived, the object flew alongside them. He tried everything. Evasive maneuvers. Radio calls. He even cut the throttle to near stall speed. The orb matched every move. Silent. Patient. Watching. Then, in an instant, it was gone. No acceleración. No trail. No explosión. It simply ceased to exist, as if someone had switched off a lamp.
The radio crackled back to life. Static resolved. Bass came through clear. Jimmy sat in silence for a full 30 seconds before he could find words. He keyed the mic and said only, "We had company tonight. Filing it under weather phenomena. We'll explain on the ground." He never filed the official report he intended to. He was told, firmly, by a superior officer whose name he blacked out in his diary, that what he saw was electrical atmospheric disturbance, and that further discussion would not serve the war effort. Jimmy Calloway wrote that night, "They know we saw something. They just don't know what. Neither do I. God help me. Neither do I." Here is what Jimmy Calloway didn't know that night. He wasn't alone. Across the European and Pacific theaters, dozens, possibly hundreds, of Allied pilots were reporting identical encounters. Glowing orbs, spheres of amber, white, and red light. Objects that defied physics, matched aircraft speeds perfectly, appeared on no radar, and vanished without explanation. The pilots had a name for them: Foo Fighters. The term came from a popular Smokey Stover comic strip. Where there's foo, there's fire. It became dark gallows humor among night fighter crews. Joke about the impossible or lose your mind over it. The U.S. Army Air Forces launched a quiet internal investigation. They considered every explanation. German secret weapons. The Nazis were known to be developing unconventional technology, including the Horton brothers' flying wing designs and the legendary Virgil Tongue-Swaff rocket programs. They considered ball lightning, mass hallucination, enemy psychological operations designed to rattle Allied airmen. None of it held up. The objects showed intelligent, reactive behavior. They responded to aircraft maneuvers. They appeared in multiple locations simultaneously. Multiple crew members on the same aircraft saw them. Different nationalities, American, British, German, reported identical encounters. Wait, German? Yes. Declassified Luftwaffe records from the post-war period revealed that German pilots were reporting the same phenomenon. They assumed it was an American secret weapon. Both sides thought the other had built something extraordinary. Neither had. Whatever the Foo Fighters were, they belonged to no army on Earth. Jimmy Calloway flew 17 more missions after that November night. He was decorated twice more. His final kill, a Junkers Ju-88 night bomber, came in January 1945, just weeks before the war in Europe began its final, grinding collapse toward V-Day. He came home to Kentucky in August 1945. He married a schoolteacher named Margaret. They had 3 children. He worked as a crop duster, then an aviation instructor. He never talked about the war at the dinner table. Not once. But he wrote. He filled 4 diaries between 1945 and 1971. His children found them after his passing in 1989. Among hundreds of pages covering his Kentucky boyhood, his courtship of Margaret, his thoughts on faith and fatherhood, 11 pages were dedicated entirely to that single night over the Rhine. His youngest daughter, Carol, told an interviewer in 2003, "Daddy wasn't a man who was scared easy. He'd lived through things most people can't imagine. But when I found those pages, the handwriting changed, like his hand was shaking when he wrote it. That scared me more than anything he described. Jimmy's diary never answered the question of what he saw that night. But he ended those 11 pages with something that stopped Carol cold when she first read it. He wrote, "I've made peace with not knowing. Some things aren't meant for men to understand. But I'll tell you this, whatever it was, it had patience. It had curiosity. And for 11 minutes over the Rhine River in the dark of winter, 1944, it chose us. Out of all the sky, it chose us." Reflective close. Jimmy Calloway was part of the greatest generation. Men and women who faced the most catastrophic war in human history and never, not once, broke. They flew into pitch-black skies in aircraft held together by rivets and courage. They faced an enemy that was real, deadly, and relentless. And in the middle of all that darkness, some of them faced something else entirely. Something that had no name. Something that defied every training manual and every rational explanation. And they kept flying. That's who they were. The fear was real. The mystery was real. The danger was absolutely real. They flew anyway. Jimmy Calloway's diary sits today in a family archive in Lexington, Kentucky. It has never been officially published. The U.S. government documents that might have explained what he saw remain, to this day, partially classified or lost to time. The Foo Fighters of World War II remain one of the most credible, widely documented, and completely unresolved mysteries of the 20th century. Hundreds of trained military aviators, men whose observational skills were literally life and death, reported the same impossible thing. We still don't know what it was, but we know what Jimmy Calloway was. He was brave. He was faithful. He was one of ours. And through his diary, he still is. If this hidden diary gave you chills, smash that like button right now. Drop a comment. What do you think really happened? Was it Nazi secret technology? Something natural? Or something none of us are ready to name? Or share your own family WW2 story below, because every one of those stories deserves to be heard. And if you want more Untold Diaries from the front lines, subscribe to Untold WW2 Diaries and hit the bell so you never miss a single hidden story. Thanks for watching. Their courage lives on through us.